Hey guys, tonight we're heading somewhere quiet. Somewhere high above the cities and trees, past the rooftops and window panes, into the soft, silver glow of the moon. That familiar face in the night sky has watched over us for thousands of years. She's been a clock, a calendar, a companion, and sometimes a culprit. But here's the curious part. Even now, in our age of satellites and space probes, we still believe some strange things about her. Maybe you've heard a few of them. That the full moon makes people go mad, that it's got a dark side full of secrets, or that NASA never really landed there at all. Don't worry, this isn't a takedown or a lecture. It's a gentle unraveling. Because beneath every myth lies a story, and behind every story, a little truth, a little fear, and a lot of imagination. Before we begin this slow cosmic journey, feel free to tap that like button. But only if this quiet little corner of the universe feels like a place you'd like to visit again. And in the comments, tell me, what time is it where you are? And what corner of this spinning world are you listening from tonight? So before we begin, take a second to get comfortable. Dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft, distant hum. Wrap yourself in something cozy. And if the moon is visible where you are tonight, give her a quiet glance. Because we're about to drift through her legends, not in a rocket ship, but in the warmth of whispered stories and the calm hum of curiosity. We'll explore ancient beliefs, scientific truths, and the sleepy edges where fact and fiction still hold hands under starlight. So take a deep breath, let it out slow, and let's begin our lunar journey together, one myth at a time. Chapter 1. The Moon and Madness. Let's start with a feeling, a restless night, a strange energy in the air. Maybe your dreams are vivid, or your mind won't settle. You wake up feeling like something tugged at your soul while you slept. And what do we blame? The moon. For centuries, people have whispered that a full moon can unhinge the mind, make people act strange, bring out the wild in us. It's why we use the word lunatic, after all. From Luna, the Roman goddess of the moon. A graceful, celestial figure, yes, but also one said to pull at the tides of the brain. In ancient Rome and Greece, physicians believed the full moon could stir the humors of the body, those mysterious fluids that were thought to govern emotions. Too much bile, not enough blood, a little too much moonlight. And suddenly, you were yelling at shadows or wandering through fields at midnight. Even the great philosopher Aristotle once speculated that the brightness of the full moon could disturb sleep, and in doing so, disrupt the mind. Sleep and sanity, he thought, were deeply entwined. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, and things only got more dramatic. Hospitals and asylums in Europe sometimes reported that more patients acted out during the full moon. Doctors noted increased anxiety, restlessness, even violence. And soon, the full moon wasn't just a light in the sky. It was a trigger, a warning sign, an omen wrapped in silver. The belief took root. It found its way into poetry, into medical texts, into folklore. Wolves howled louder. People went mad. Children were born wild-eyed and unpredictable. Of course, today we have science. We have research, data, peer-reviewed journals. And what do they say? Well, the answer is complicated. Some studies do suggest small increases in emergency room visits or police reports during full moons, but many others show no pattern at all. Sleep might be affected, slightly. Melatonin levels may dip a bit under the moon's glow, especially if it's shining straight through your window. But for most people, the change is too small to notice. So why do we keep believing? Because stories are sticky, and the moon, with her cool, quiet face, gives us something to point to. When the night feels off, when we feel off, it's comforting in a strange way to say, it must be the moon. It's not madness, it's moonlight. And maybe that's the real power of this myth. Not that it's true, but that it gives shape to our mystery. Even now, when the world is mapped and measured, we still look up at that glowing circle and wonder if it's doing something to us, tugging at invisible strings inside our heads. The moon doesn't mind. She's heard it all before. The prayers, the poetry, the panic. She simply drifts above, calm and ancient, watching our stories unfold. So the next time you feel a little strange during a full moon, maybe it's just the pizza. Or maybe, just maybe, it's something older. A whisper of wildness. A memory of myth. Either way, you're not alone. We've all looked up and wondered, and we always will. Chapter 2. The moon landing was faked. Let's imagine a moment. It's July 20th, 1969. You're curled up in front of a glowing black and white screen. Somewhere across the ocean of space, a human being is stepping onto another world. One small step, and one giant leap into 1,000 new questions. But not everyone believed it. And even now, decades later, some still don't. They say the shadows are wrong. The flag is waving. The stars are missing. The whole thing, they claim, was filmed on a Hollywood set. It's a compelling myth, not because it's likely, but because it speaks to something very human. Doubt. The moon landing conspiracy theory didn't bloom in a vacuum. It rose from a soil of distrust in government, in technology, in truth itself. The 1970s were a strange, uncertain time. Cold War tension, Vietnam, Watergate. Suddenly, it didn't seem so crazy to imagine that we'd been lied to. And the moon? It's the ultimate stage. Vast, silent, unreachable for most. The perfect canvas for suspicion. Let's walk through the most famous claims, gently. The flag appears to ripple in the air, but there is no air on the moon. True, but the flag was mounted on a telescoping rod, like a curtain rod with an elbow. When the astronauts planted it, they twisted it into the soil, causing the fabric to ripple, then freeze in that position. It's not flapping in the wind. It's settling into vacuum stillness. Then there's the shadows. Some fall at strange angles. Surely that means studio lighting. Actually, no, it just means the surface is uneven. Shadows bend and shift over small hills, dips, and craters, just like on Earth. In fact, many of those weird shadows have been recreated using one light source, just the sun. What about the stars? Why can't we see them in the sky? Because the cameras weren't set to capture them. The astronauts were standing on a sunlit surface. To expose the images properly, the cameras had to adjust for the brightness of the moon's surface. Stars, dim and distant, were simply washed out. Not invisible, just out of frame. And finally, why haven't we been back? Well, we have. Multiple times. Apollo missions 12, 14, 15, 16, and 17. We left experiments, mirrors, even discarded equipment behind. Satellites can still photograph the landing sites. You can even bounce lasers off the reflectors we left there. But the real reason this myth clings to us? Because the moon feels sacred. It's our dream, our storybook, our mystery. And when something that precious becomes real, when boot prints mark the dust of our collective wonder, part of us wants to say, no, it can't be. That's too big, too far, too soon. It's not disbelief in rockets. It's disbelief in ourselves. Because if we really went there, if we really crossed that ocean of black silence and stepped out into the void with nothing but a suit and a hope, then what else might we do? What else might be true? The moon landing wasn't just science. It was poetry. It was a campfire story made real. And for some, that's harder to believe than any lie. So if you've ever wondered, just for a moment, if it might have been faked, that's okay. It means your imagination still works, that the moon still holds a little magic for you, and that, in its own way, is a kind of truth too. Chapter 3. Full moon effects on behavior. Let's take another quiet look at the moon. Full and glowing, suspended like a lantern in the sky. Its light soft, but ancient. Its pull, mysterious. Even today, people swear that full moons do something to us. Hospitals brace for chaos. Pet owners claim their dogs bark more. Teachers swear their students are more restless. And police officers say the nights are louder. Stranger. Is it real? Do full moons actually stir the human spirit? Let's start with where the idea came from. Long before science gave us clocks and calendars, people used the moon to measure time. Its phases guided planting, harvesting, travel, and rituals. It marked the months. And with each full moon, the world seemed to pause and pay attention. In ancient Europe, a full moon might signal a night of transformation. Think werewolves, witches, and wandering spirits. The Celts held lunar festivals. Romans associated full moons with the goddess Diana, huntress, guardian of wild animals and childbirth. In many cultures, the full moon was a moment when the veil between worlds felt thinner, a time for birth, death, dreams, and omens. So it's not surprising that behaviors were linked to it too. But what does science say? It's a mixed bag. Some studies claim minor upticks in certain behaviors during a full moon, like animal bites, emergency visits, or reports of insomnia. Others? They find no change at all. In fact, many scientists believe we fall into a trap called confirmation bias, where we notice strange things on full moon nights simply because we expect to. Think about it. If someone acts erratic during a waxing crescent, we just say, well, they're having a weird day. But if they do the same thing during a full moon? Aha, the moon. Our brains are pattern seekers, and the moon, visible, radiant, regular, gives us something to connect those patterns to. Still, there is some subtle truth. Full moons can affect sleep, especially for sensitive sleepers or those without blackout curtains. One study found that people took a little longer to fall asleep and slept slightly less during full moons, though others couldn't replicate the findings. It's also worth noting that bright moonlight used to matter a lot more. Before electricity, a full moon lit up the world like a street lamp. Nighttime activities, good and bad, were easier. So yes, historically, more things might have happened during full moons, because people could actually see. Today, we don't need moonlight to roam. Our cities never sleep. And yet, the full moon still draws our eyes and our imaginations. Even now, we speak of lunar energy, We blame it for bad sleep, strange moods, dramatic nights. Is it true? Well, maybe not in a measurable, replicable, peer-reviewed sense, but emotionally, culturally, absolutely. The moon has always been more than a rock. It's a mirror for our stories, our emotions, our mystery. And maybe that's why we still whisper about full moons. Not because they change the tides of our blood, but because they reflect the tides of our minds. So next time someone acts strange under a full moon, pause before you roll your eyes. It's not madness. It's myth. A very old, very human myth, passed down in moonlight. And maybe, just maybe, there's still a little magic in that. Chapter 4. The moon has a dark side. Now let's talk about one of the moon's most mysterious phrases. You've probably heard it before. The dark side of the moon. It sounds ominous, doesn't it? Like a hidden realm, a secret hemisphere cloaked in eternal night. What's over there? Alien bases? Cold shadows? The unknown? Well, not quite. Let's start with the basics, calmly, simply. There is no permanent dark side of the moon, not in the way the phrase makes it sound. Yes, one side of the moon always faces us. If you look up tonight, you'll see the same face your ancestors saw thousands of years ago. The same craters, the same scars, the same silent gaze. This happens because the moon is tidally locked to Earth. It rotates once on its axis in the same amount of time it takes to orbit us. So we always see one side, and the other remains turned away. But here's the gentle twist. Both sides get sunlight. Every part of the moon experiences day and night, just not in the way we're used to on Earth. A lunar day lasts about 14 Earth days. Then the sun sets, and night falls for another 14. That far side we never see? It isn't dark. It shines in the sun just like the side we know. It's only dark in the sense that it's hidden, not from light, but from us. The idea of a dark side took root in popular imagination. Science fiction ran with it. Albums were named after it. And soon, it became more myth than mistake. But that hidden hemisphere, we've seen it, photographed it, even landed spacecraft there. In fact, China's Chang'e 4 became the first mission to softly touch down on the far side in 2019. It carried instruments, cameras, and a little biosphere with seeds and silkworms. The far side isn't alien. It's just less familiar, more mountainous, more scarred by craters, because it's less shielded from space debris. And perhaps that's the heart of the myth. It's not about light and shadow. It's about mystery. We're drawn to what we can't see. The moon keeps a secret half turned away, not because it's hiding, but because it's dancing with us, locked in a cosmic waltz. So next time someone mentions the dark side of the moon, you'll know the truth. Not dark, just distant. Not secret, just shy. And there's something oddly comforting in that. Because even in the silence of space, even in the chill beyond Earth's warmth, there's still a rhythm, a spin, a light, a glow that touches everything eventually. Yes, even the dark side, even. Chapter 5. The moon controls fertility and birth now. Let's explore a myth that's more tender than terrifying. One that reaches into the heart of life itself. For centuries, people have believed that the moon, with her soft cycles and steady rhythm, holds sway over human fertility, pregnancy, and birth. And at first glance, the connection makes a certain quiet sense. The moon takes about 29.5 days to complete a full cycle, and so does the average menstrual cycle. It's easy to see why ancient cultures, without clocks or charts, looked to the sky. They noticed the patterns and began to wonder, was the moon guiding something within them? In many early societies, this link became spiritual. Goddesses of the moon were also goddesses of motherhood. Selene in Greek myth, Chandra in Hindu tradition, Ixchel among the Maya. Lunar calendars were used to track ovulation, to plan conception, to predict births. Some believed that babies conceived during a waxing moon would be bold and strong, while those born under a waning moon would be more sensitive, perhaps even psychic. Midwives sometimes timed rituals or remedies to match the moon's cycle, and women gathering in moonlight, sharing stories, herbs, songs, formed quiet circles of care and wonder. But does the moon actually influence fertility? Let's ease into the science. Modern research has explored this idea from many angles. Some studies have found faint patterns, suggesting more conceptions during certain moon phases, usually the full or new moon. But the findings aren't consistent. Other studies see no correlation at all. The human menstrual cycle may resemble the moon's cycle, but it's controlled by hormones, complex little messengers, dancing to a tune written by your brain and body, not the sky. Still, there are curious details. Light does affect our bodies. Too much artificial light at night, for example, can suppress melatonin, which may, in turn, affect reproductive hormones. And long ago, when nights were darker and full moons brighter, maybe that glow played a subtle role in sleep, mood, or timing. So while the moon may not control fertility, she may have once been a gentle environmental cue, a soft nudge, a cosmic suggestion. And for birth? Well, many nurses and doctors still swear the maternity ward gets busier on full moons. But when researchers look at the numbers, the pattern disappears. It's another case of confirmation bias. The night feels busy, and the moon is full, so we link the two. Still, there's something poetic in the belief. The moon watching over mothers, the moon marking time for new life, the moon steady while everything else changes. Even today, many people feel a deep, personal connection between the moon and their cycles. They journal by moonlight. They track moods, cravings, dreams, and whether or not there's science to back it all up, the practice itself can be calming. A quiet rhythm, a ritual, a way to listen to the body. So no, the moon doesn't command your fertility. She doesn't choose when you'll conceive, carry, or deliver. But she has always offered something else. A mirror, a rhythm, a soft, silvery partner in the dance of life. And maybe, in a world that rushes us, that asks us to measure everything in apps and metrics, the moon invites us to slow down, to look up, and to feel. Because birth isn't just biology, it's wonder. And the moon, well, she's been part of our wonder since the beginning. Chapter 6. The moon is a perfect sphere, approx to 500 words. When you look up at the moon on a clear night, round, glowing, peaceful, it's easy to imagine she's perfect. A smooth marble, a flawless pearl hanging in the dark, calm, constant, whole. And for centuries, that's exactly what people believed, that the moon was a perfect sphere, smooth and celestial, untouched by chaos or blemish. Even early astronomers thought so. Before telescopes, all they had were their eyes and imagination. And to the naked eye, from Earth, the moon looks, well, pretty close to perfect. But let's take a slower look. The moon, in reality, is rugged. Not round like a ball bearing, but slightly squashed. What scientists call an oblate spheroid. Kind of like a soft loaf of bread, gently pressed. It's not drastic, just enough to make it not quite spherical, but enough to matter. And her surface? It's anything but smooth. Craters, basins, ancient scars left by billions of years of cosmic collisions. Massive valleys stretch for miles. Mountains rise higher than anything east of the Rockies. There are plains of dark basalt called maria, which are not seas, as the name suggests, but frozen lava flows, frozen for millions of years. If the moon were truly smooth, she wouldn't shine the way she does. Her texture catches the light, reflects it gently back. Soft glows, sharp contrasts. That's what makes her face so hypnotic. The illusion of roundness is a trick of distance, of shadow, of human hope. We want her to be perfect, because perfection feels safe, unchanging, peaceful. But the truth is more comforting in its own quiet way. The moon is not flawless. She's weathered. She's real. Her craters tell stories of impact. Her tilted shape speaks of tides and time. And her survival all these billions of years is a testament not to perfection, but to persistence. So next time you look up, know this. The moon isn't perfect, but she's whole. And that's enough. Just like you. And here we are, drifting back from our quiet orbit around the moon. We've walked through madness and myth, touched down on lunar hoaxes and hovered over ancient beliefs. We've peeled back the mystery, gently, not to destroy the magic, but to understand it. Because myths don't die under science. They soften, they shift, they take new shapes. The moon is still mysterious, not because we don't understand her, but because we still feel something when we look up at her. That soft glow, that patient pull. She reminds us of time, of rhythm, of how small we are, and how beautiful that smallness can be. So whether or not you once believed the moon made you wild, or thought she hid a secret side, or imagined her steering birth and dreams and the tides of your heart, that's okay. Because the moon doesn't ask for belief. She simply shows up, night after night, waxing and waning, watching from above. So tonight, let her be your nightlight, your celestial storyteller, your silver reminder that mystery still has a place in our world, even if it wears a lab coat now and then. If you're still awake, thank you for being here. It means a lot. And if you've already drifted off, then may your dreams be soft, your thoughts gentle, and your night wrapped in moonlight. Sleep well. We'll see you next time.